Disclaimer. I don't actually know my friends that well, and this whole video isn't meant to be taken too seriously. I know as much about them as anyone watching and or listening to this, so don't take this video of Sterxion yapping about his friends too hard. Mostly. Also, this is just a video to test out my new mic because I seriously don't know how good or bad I sound. Anyways, enjoy the video. Let's get some things out of the way first and foremost. I had a bunch of different ideas for a Sterxion yapping video, but ultimately decided on this. If you're curious about what the other ideas were, here they are. Anyways, in this video I'm going to be going over some of the traits all my homies have that I've noticed during the times we spent playing games and vibing together. I will specifically point out 4 traits for each homie. 2 good, 1 neutral, and 1 bad trait. By the way, I'm not actually a genius, so some of these traits I picked out for each of the homies can and will most likely be wrong in some way. Plus, many of these can actually change in the future, but some of these can be more apparent as time goes on. I don't know, I'm just here to make a video. And also the fact that not all these traits can even be connected to playing games as well. I'm just using the statement of when we're playing games, because that's when I notice these traits the most. Also, I will try to avoid having repeated traits throughout all of the homies as best as I could. And also, I don't have clips of anyone showcasing the traits because I don't really record that many co-op games. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. Anyways, we're all clear, let's get started. Goku, as some of you may have known, is quite an uncommon appearance throughout the entire crew, but has always been the dude's unofficial leader. Being a leader, even if it is just a guise most of the time, has its ups and downs. Let's start off by going over one of his more notable traits, which would be his ability to boost morale. Whether he knows it or not, Goku's presence has always been one to inspire excitement and rally the homies together. This could be done simply by hyping up the other guys, giving everyone an inspirational speech with his inspiring leader feat, or simply just being there because honestly, he's just that charismatic. Even if at times where none of that is true, there's also the fact that he always keeps his morals in check. He'll always be someone who won't be swayed by heavy emotions during the times when he is with everyone else. It seems like no matter what happens, Goku is always keeping his chin up and is usually making sure that everyone else is also doing alright. Staying positive and looking for the bright side of things even when the situation is dark has always been something he's been doing whether he knows it or not. Another one of his good traits is his open-mindedness to playing new games or experiencing something new. This is one of his more subtle traits he has that goes a bit unnoticed, but it's still quite admirable how much Goku will be willing to try anything new as long as it fits within the realms of what he is willing to accept. With new games popping up here and there, it's always good to keep an open mind about all of it just in case you get bored of the same old games you've played many times before. This makes him very adaptable for any of the new gaming trends that appear and also makes him a solid partner in general. However, with that being said, his own adaptability to the ever-changing world can be a double-edged sword for him. A neutral trait of Goku is that he is very inclusive. What I mean by this is that if everyone in the Discord call is present, he'll always want to find something that everyone can partake in. This is usually on the more intense side of things considering he doesn't really back down unless you give him the message multiple times saying it's okay to. It's always nice that he's making sure that everyone present is one way or another included in whatever activity is going on, but sometimes it can lead to a bit of disorder considering that not everyone will be willing to participate, whether it's due to the state of said homie or the actual activity that's going to happen. People have their own reasons, and he understands that, but it can really be a bit tedious at times when everyone has their own things to do. Now onto his bad trait. A common theme across many games is that he is quite goal-oriented. It's not a bad thing and it's hardly noticeable in smaller and less story-based games, but you really get to notice it when a game is more intuitive and played out longer than your average game of Doors from Roblox. There's a good chance that in many of the times you see him in these longer games, for example, Terraria, whenever a small goal is completed, let's say the group got done killing a boss, there's a good chance that Goku will absolutely need guidance from the other homies about what to do next. If he is left unattended or not told what to do or how to do something, He'll usually be seen just wandering about minding his own business until the next big event comes up, in which the chances of him being ready for it are quite slim, since there was no way of him knowing how to prep up for it, or rather, he didn't know what he should have been doing up until that point, leading to things taking a bit longer to complete than usual. If we choose to ignore that trait though, finding a bad trait Goku has while gaming has always been hard. He has solid bonds with many of the other members and is always a solid gamer in almost all situations. And as a spoiler alert, his bad trait is actually one of the most tame ones out of everyone else. Now, on to our next person. I don't actually think he has a specific alias he goes by. Whatever his name may be, it will always usually be referencing a gun, but for now, we'll just refer to the homie in question as M1. M1 is quite a rare appearance, believe it or not. You don't actually see him that much compared to the rest of the other members because of personal circumstances, but with what time M1 has spent with the homies, I think I figured out some of the traits he has. One thing I noticed is that he is quite serious in many of the games he plays. Don't get me wrong, it's actually pretty nice to always have someone be the pillar of realism, with their actions saying that they will take the game they're currently playing seriously and do whatever they can to complete their mission. Don't be fooled by this, because even though he's serious about whatever he's doing, he's always susceptible to having a good time or just being a bit silly every now and then. This kinda leads into his second trait, in which M1 is a tryhard. He is very victory driven, and that's a good trait to have. We all need someone like that to remind us that losing fucking sucks, and that we need to at least put in effort to achieve victory sometimes. Even though this may or may not be true, what I have said before still stands. M1, although wanting to succeed in whatever goals he has, will still be willing to just have fun whenever he feels like it. He will just be trying hard to win as a main task. Now for M1's neutral trait, it's hard to say exactly what it is. You got a couple of ideas here and there, but specifically I want to focus on the fact that he is in the gray zone in many of the situations he finds himself in. Yes, he is a solid partner in games, but there are times where the question of his alignment is asked. Every now and then, he'll usually do something slightly concerning or very questionable. One of the biggest examples I can think of is where M1 and Goku were playing an FPS game. A random teammate killed Goku because, I don't know, some online people are dicks and have big egos they need to satiate. And Goku was telling M1 to kill the random that killed him. However, M1 decided not to do this for some reason, which kind of upsetted Orin. It's moments like these where you really wonder if M1 is truly on your side or not. Like, you know he's an ally, but you also know that the exact same statement holds as much weight as Quang's promise to replay Amori. You aren't entirely sure at times, is what I'm saying. I could keep going, but I think I spent enough time on that, so moving on to his bad trait, there's just one big thing, and that's communication. M1 will give callouts and whatnot, but that's usually only when he's participating in whatever activity is happening. If nothing is happening, M1 really doesn't interact with anyone unless a certain topic is on the table. Guns, history, girls frontline, you name it. If you're calling about anything else besides the things I mentioned, there's a good chance that you'll be put on voicemail until someone else answers. But as long as he can be dialed, he will be willing to spectate if not participate in some of the activities the other homies are doing. He doesn't stand out much, but that same thing is also what makes him stand out within the group. Lightsoul, the famous Paladins YouTuber of the group. Also known as Fuck Morality, I desire the views for my pleasure. That's not actually true, but you get the idea. There's a good chance that you clicked on this video, you most likely know him. And if you don't know him, well, here are some of his traits I can think of to get you familiar with him in the games and videos you see him in. Lightsoul is unsurprisingly very compatible with many of the other homies, as well as quite adaptable to any new games as well. Put simply, he goes with the flow very well in many situations. Whether it be Goku's combustive plans to execute something, or Quang's downright diabolically devious deeds of doing destructively down bad stuff, Lightsoul will most certainly play along to anything as long as it doesn't negatively affect them in many ways. I couldn't find enough D words for Quang's part. The fact that he's able to go with whatever antics the others are brewing means the potential for funny moments are sure to arise. With all the flowing and going with whatever happens around him, or whatever he sees, it's not a surprise that Lightsoul is actually a bit smart and knowledgeable about how to approach things and what to do. I guarantee you, he will have at least one useful thing to know about every single homie on this list, or one useful tip in any games he plays. I mean, it doesn't take long for him to learn how to play a new game. It all just comes down to how much time he is willing to invest in it. But when you're smart enough to know your limits of how far you can do things and what you need to do, maybe you don't need investments. I would say something like that, but the fact that his investments are towards him taking the chance to create a YouTube clip has got me looking for a season 2 of whatever hardcore series that may happen in the future. Put simply, his neutral trait is that he is very opportunistic. Getting clips is fine, and getting laughs from the others because of what you do in games is also fine. I'd say 2 out of 3 times when the opportunity arises for him to strike, the joke lands quite well. It's just the 1 out of 3 times that makes him look like an absolute buffoon. Seriously, play something like Lethal Company or any survival co-op horror game with him, and take note of how many times he'll actively kill himself to demonstrate something or do something that disrupts everybody else, because he's really just fishing for a reaction to put in his video. This plays into his bad trait, which hardly goes noticed, but this guy actively fishes for destruction and chaos. It's just so well hidden that you would actually think I'm insane for thinking this. Well, for one, the insane part is not technically wrong. I'm both the most mentally unhinged individual as well as the most innocent person in the group. And 2, it's not even that well hidden sometimes. Like, you can't honestly tell me in this clip, Light so wanted to cause mayhem.
Oh, somebody broke something.
Relax, Charlie.
That's not me. You don't.
That is definitely you.
Damn, Charlie, no health. Oh shit, never mind.
Okay, bad example, but you get my point. Within Light lies the seeds of chaos, and is what demarcates the boundary of what being unchecked of chaos looks like, and what having chaos you can control looks like. But still, overall, he's a very good player, a great homie, and is sometimes just a YouTuber who is forced to do what he needs to do to stay relevant in this age of YouTube. Because really, this won't get views, but this will. Yeah, let's start referring to myself in the third person for this one, shall we? Sterxion is many things. He's a solo player. He's an idol of chaos. He's the Touhou guy of the group. He's also the guy who won't buy an actual PC to play and record on. But most importantly, Sterxion is the oddity of the Secluded dudes. Might be a bit of a stretch, but allow me to attempt an explanation. One of his more defining traits is that he holds an unusual amount of skill in any of the games he plays. Like, it's scary how good he can be at a game if he wanted to try. Like, actually try. Let's put it hypothetically. Say that the average player's skill in a game fluctuates between 80% to 120%. That player can change from good to bad depending on the situation, but for Sterxion, that 80 to 120 ratio becomes a 50 to 150 ratio. That means he could potentially be the worst out of anyone, or quite literally be unmatched with anyone else on the list. Like I said, he can be very good at what he is doing if he actively tries to be good. Don't believe me? Then allow me to put it into 2 phrases that I can remember. In the context of Hollow Knight, Quang has stated that I actually have to try and practice to beat the bosses. It takes me days while Sterxion just breezes through them within a single recording session. Like, what the fuck? And the second phrase by Lightso, in the context of Pokemon Unite, has once stated, there are rarely any games where Sterxion is not the MVP. Another valuable trait he has is quite rare to pop up because of the dynamic of what everyone prefers when it's gaming time. I'll allow Reisen from Tales of Berseria to summarize this trait.
If I'm in this 100%.
Basically, it's hard to find something that Sterxion will actually commit to. Smaller games or games that involve repetition without a story or a true end goal will basically have this trait be null and void. But in terms of games that Sterxion knows will last a long time and is something he is willing to play, there's a good chance that he will be there and see it out until the very end, regardless if the ending of the game results in a good or a bad one. In simpler terms, he's very dedicated and loyal in games as long as he believes there's a good reason to be. Now for his neutral trait, do you remember how we were talking about Lights on his compatibility with the other members of the crew? How it was pretty good and had great synergy all around? I don't think I need to explain this, but the synergy with Sterxion and some of the others is but a conundrum itself. Even with his best synergy partners, for example, Goku or Bechi, it still seems like there's a small gap that could develop the synergy even further, but is ultimately being stopped by something that goes unperceived. Sterxion isn't unfriendly or anything like that. He's actually very chill when you get down to it. But he harbors a confusing amount of chaotic energy that makes it hard for others to figure out how to actively spark things out of him and develop whatever bonds they have with him any further. kinda makes sense when the bad trait of Sterxion is that he's got his own tempo. If the road splits and everyone is choosing right, he might choose left because he feels like it, or because he wants to. Don't get me wrong, it's not in a way where he simply seeks to satisfy his own desires by doing what he wants. He simply does things to his own accord, depending on the situation. Usually because everybody else in the group wants to play something that he knows won't last longer than 2 weeks. This is a really bad trait for him, considering that because of this trait, it's hard to actually get him to hop on the bandwagon for our games or activities. And even if he hops on the bandwagon, there's a good chance he'll hop right off soon after because that wagon isn't leading anywhere. With all these traits, you definitely got one of the most tricky members of the Secluded dudes you can ask for. Like, realistically speaking, he's the weird cousin you have at a family reunion. You don't mind them, but you don't really know anything about the guy. But to be fair, when you have other members that are louder, radiate more hype energy, and also have the reunion take place in an environment where most trending games are built for clips on social media, then you can get one hell of an unperceived and underappreciated star that lights a path people forget about. Are we still waiting for Pokemon Infinite Fusion to wrap up? Editor Sterxion here. This is not a true statement anymore. I just got word that Quang is no longer playing Pokemon Infinite Fusion, so yeah, that's tough. He was transferring PCs and the save file got corrupted, and it's his fault. Go subscribe to him. Yep, that's all. Editor Sterxion out. Quang is one of the most staple members of the Secluded dudes who frequently appears in many of the activities that happen. Even if he isn't there, you could expect him to be in the comment section of the video surrounding what happened. Well, assuming he isn't asleep anyways. Fun fact, the AFK channel in our Discord is called Sleepy Quang because of the amount of times he falls asleep in our calls. In the many situations he finds himself in while playing video games, if there's a chance that a rare item could be dropped, there's a good chance that Quang will stop at nothing to receive said item. This being one of his best traits, Quang can and will grind out a game if he wants to. This is especially admirable when it comes to really rare items within a game, because not everyone wants to spend their time working towards something that isn't even guaranteed. Whether it would be for his homies or for himself, if there is something that can be earned with enough time and patience, Quang will definitely work hard trying to get whatever he needs as long as it's required or wanted, or if the item is pretty cool. Another good trait he has is that in any game that managed to hold his attention for more than 17 minutes, there's a good chance he'll delve deep into the boundaries of the game and see how far he could take the game, as well as how much he could experiment with what is inside the game. If there are ways to interact with the environment or items he finds within them, he'll go through deep research and learn through trial and error to fully understand the effects of whatever it is he is curious about. Even if some of the research is just used to troll his friends, most of it will always be used to help him in some way or another. Let's talk about his neutral trait. Quang is kinda reserved at times, which leads to him not saying much. Sometimes the opposite can happen and he can say too much. But specifically, let's talk about his explosive temper. Quang has a temper that has a chance to randomly explode at the little or big things. To be fair, some of us are rage baiting him. But in the end, it's his fault for always biting that hook. I'm just saying that temper is quite divisive depending on the situations. In most cases, it's a funny, small moment of Quang raging on whatever happened in the game. Other times, you get Mewtwo from Pokemon. Yes, you heard me right. Mewtwo, fucking Mewtwo, fearing what Quang has in store for him. That guy really was asking for it though, I'm just saying. But more times than not, it's actually quite amusing seeing it happen, as it's usually not something too serious. But still, there are times when it is serious, and that's when the temper becomes a bad thing. Speaking of bad things, has anyone ever noticed that Quang is like a broken record at times? He falls asleep in Discord calls you gay, and makes it your problem. Also, with all the constant preaching of whatever game he's into right now along with some other ones, it's almost become a meme on how much he actually repeats himself. Some of the things he repeats are accepted, but other ones actually don't contribute anything at all. Then again, this is the same person who bullied a kid who was around 7 years old in a video game. And trust me, him showing no sympathy to anything NPC-like in a game, unless it's a woman, it's just an accepted thing. It's just when that line of him repeating these things is pushed too far is when it becomes an actual problem. Still though, he usually keeps that bad trait under wraps and is generally just filling the silence with whatever is needed because it's too quiet sometimes. Solid partner. I give it 3.5. Out of what exactly? I don't know. A 3.5 out of 3.5? I get 3.5 out of 5 because he hasn't played and recorded an Izakaya game, but that's just personal bias. Solid gamer all around though. Becky is quite a rare sight, but a beloved one at that. You'll see him pop up here and there, but trust me, it's always a treat. Let's start off by saying that the guy is a literal meme maniac. There's a good chance his brain has rotted from all the brain rots that has popped up within the recent year, but still, this doesn't change the fact that he knows about them and references them and other memes whenever he can. I kid you not, there are times whenever I message Becky and he'll always send an image or a meme back that leaves me thinking to myself, damn, that's an actual meme? This could just be me not keeping up with the memes these days, but to be honest, does anyone in the group really want to? Especially considering the memes we have these days, a good quarter of them are nothing but brain rots. But still though, I respect the hustle keeping up with whatever goes on and still having ways to make it relevant and funny within the group. By the way, Becky is genuinely funny. Like, I can't even joke about that. Well, he's more silly than funny, but personally, I'm okay with calling him both. He always plays along with whatever is going on within a game or activity and is generally on the team side, but whenever the chance for him to do something funny pops up, he is the one who will garner the most laughs out of everyone. He also doesn't make remarks or jokes all that often, but anytime he does, there's a good chance it's directed at Quang, and there's a good chance everyone else is smiling. Quang and Becky are really close buddies, by the way, as a disclaimer. But being this extraordinary comes at a cost. The cost being the amount of times you'll see him appear within the group or videos that are uploaded. I know I said you'll see him appear here and there, but to be honest, you have a better chance finding him within short games and videos that are one-offs rather than something that is a long-term commitment, say an adventuring game or an RPG game. Unless it's a Monster Hunter or a solo game, but you know, to say he's in it for the short run would probably be wrong. But then you go through all of Lightsoul's videos that feature Becky and realize how many times you see him in a game that doesn't really have an end goal or adventure. Spoilers, you'll see Becky primarily in the Lethal Company and Roblox videos. But you know what's even worse than that? The fact that getting him to play with us is actually quite difficult. You know that riddle that goes hard to catch, easy to hold? Well, let's apply that to Becky, but instead change it to hard to catch, harder to hold. Like, you'd be surprised at how many times all of the homies would directly message Becky to join an activity, and he would respond to only me. Actually, it's usually just Becky who responds to me first before everyone else, which is very flattering, but still, I think you get the point. He's a really funny and great guy to play games with, as long as you're able to get him to join in whatever is going on. Despite the neutral and bad traits, Becky will always net you a good time. It's just that he's usually occupied with some bigger solo games that makes it hard for him to show up as much as I would like him to. Mask Surge is another staple member of the Secluded dudes. You'll see him appear very often within the videos as well as activities that happen, as long as he isn't already busy. His most notable trait is that he actually talks the most out of everyone combined, but we'll get to that part later. But for now, something I can admire about him is that in many games, he's very enthusiastic and passionate about whatever he is doing or whatever he is going to do in them. He's the ultimate hype man who won't be scared of being allowed to show you how much he truly means business. This of course only applies when times are good, because when times are bad, they are pretty bad. But then again, everyone has a bad time every now and then, but you know, nothing's telling us we can't just say fuck all that and enjoy whatever moment we have with the utmost amount of enthusiasm. Another thing about Mask Surge is that he is quite a cultured individual. Listen, I'm not trying to repeat traits across all the homies, so let me go into more detail about this one. Becky is more familiar with the meme culture, while Mask Surge is more familiar with the media. All the news, updates, and even niche movie moments are something that can pop up from him every now and then, and it makes you realize that he's a lot more connected to what's going on outside just as much as he knows what's happening online. Maybe not to the same amount, but I do know if there's an update for a game or a piece of media he really likes, I'd say 90% of the time, he'll be the first person to share it. Okay, now you know how I said earlier that Mask Surge is the one who talks the most out of everybody else in the group? That's his neutral trait. Bro's the walking definition of a chatterbox, and we couldn't love or hate him more for it. Like, yes, he can and will be quiet when the moment calls for it, but there are a lot of times when the group could be focused on one thing within a game, and Mask Surge will just randomly ask a question about the amount of alcohol content within a Jack Daniels. That's not a true example, but an example regardless. You know, this would be fine and all if no one else is really talking. I can't remember how many times I was discussing something with another member and Master just kinda talks about a random topic out of nowhere. Now that one SAE section makes a whole lot more sense. But this is just something that we all have come to accept, and it really doesn't bother us that much anyways. Besides, every now and then, he will strike gold with the random things he spouts. Now for a bad trait, I can think of a couple. I was gonna say he's toxic, but that's honestly a low-hanging fruit. Besides, everyone in the group can be toxic. It's just more apparent with him. But I'm going to be picking a fruit deeper within the tree, and as we can see here, Master is secretly a bit selfish. Or self-centered? I think selfish works as a placeholder here. You would be a bit surprised, but it has been shown at times. Credit to Lightsoul, because this clip really does show this trait in its full effects.
I killed the second healer.
Can you beat your head a little bit, Charlie? I need to heal. Oh, fucking.
You don't need to second priority, don't worry about it.
I love it.
I need to fucking balance my heal, and it's fucking
I love how your priority was, I need to heal myself. It wasn't, I need to heal you.
There are other times too, like when he takes loot for himself in certain games, albeit at the expense of someone else's, and only referencing himself being the main reason victory was achieved in a team game, even though everybody else put in the same or more work than he did. But he usually keeps that trait of his well in check and is getting better overall. We're all main characters in our own story, so it's natural that sometimes we think we're the most important part of a process, even if it isn't true. We're all just here to vibe, so it's alright to let it slip every now and then. Just as long as you don't make a big deal out of it, then it's all cool with the dudes. Okay, now as a disclaimer, these last two homies are friends I really don't have a good grasp on. We have played games together, but the truth is, if I didn't know that much about everyone on the list prior to these two, and I really don't, then I surely would not know these two homies at all. But still, I must give them a fair share in the spotlight, starting with... You know, I don't think he actually has an official alias, so let's go with Adventurer, aka MK. One of the traits I noticed about him is his sarcasm. You don't know what that means. Hey, good luck figuring it out. He comes off as very suave whenever he decides to spit some of that sarcasm out. This completely balances out the fact that he's quite docile in many situations, but it's just as chaotic as a situation is. I can't say he's adaptable, I already used that word for someone else. He definitely picks when he decides to use it, and it almost always results in a chuckle or two. Maybe even a successful rage bait from Quang if the timing is perfect, but that's usually when he's sure that his mic isn't muted while doing so. Another thing you can give credit to Adventure for is his straightforwardness. The way he directly gets to the point when he speaks makes things a lot more clear than some situations are disguised to be. This also makes it easier to communicate to others since he doesn't really bullshit around. Unless it's funnier to do so, but that would be him using that suave sarcasm to his advantage. Being that straightforward also indirectly makes him a very honest guy. Like, there's no disguise at all when it comes to Adventure in general. He'll openly show you his real side. But never donning a mask when it's needed sometimes means the colors you show may reveal a lot more things than you would want. In many games, it's actually hard to tell whether or not Adventure is even having fun. He's serious about whatever is happening and what he needs to do to complete a goal, but it's like a dice roll in most cases. Roll a 20, he's causing chaos and having a grand old time. Roll a 10, and you got him being more entertained talking with the other members rather than actually playing the game. And roll a 1, Adventure might as well be asleep or be MIA from the Discord call doing his own thing. Never donning a mask is also pretty bad when you realize he's prone to accidents more than anyone else. I don't mean he makes mistakes in games so often that it becomes unplayable, but if you give this guy 10 shots of vodka, all of a sudden, the footage you were going to use in your video is hit with a cease and desist, as well as a letter issuing an apology for saying things even a heartstuck high elo League of Legends player would be jealous of for not thinking. It's a good thing that it hardly ever happens, but it's not like it isn't inevitable. Adventure is still a solid homie all around, and to be honest, I kinda had to nitpick on the bad trait and every other trait mentioned because I really don't have a grasp on him. If you watch my channel for long enough, you would know I have a Touhou character associating with each of the homies. Orin Goku is Mokou, Lightsoul is Mirasa, and Bechi is Mamizo, just to name a few. I don't think anyone knew who Bechi was associated with until now. but whatever. But for Adventurer and only him, I have no character that I can associate him with because I really don't know the guy. Well, I'll probably find a solution in the future, but for now, Adventurer will remain a cool dude and a cool gamer. For our last guy, Tate? I'm gonna roll with Tate. Tate is also someone I don't know that much about. I got a Touhou character that I can associate Tate with, but I really don't got much otherwise. Tate is unironically just kind of a chill guy when it comes to the group, so these traits I picked out may and most likely be inaccurate. Let's make one thing clear. Tate is really chill. Like, it's almost scary how calm he can be. He's still influenced by whatever happens within the game, but it shows a lot less here. You know how I said Goku can control his emotions to not let it overflow him? That was in the context of many situations because he will still be as hype as he needs to be. Tate, on the other hand, is just overall very cool and calm about many things, which can make certain moments a lot more interesting. He isn't always calm, as a disclaimer. I heard this guy get excited and loud after beating a boss in, I don't know, Elden Ring? But yeah, he's just a chill guy who hardly raises his voice. Another trait about him is... how should I put it? Tate is like the icing on the cake. By himself, he's good, but nothing that special. But with others, he gets even better. Him being able to synergize easily with everyone else makes for a good time. Plus, it seems like he adapts to whatever happens depending on the situation, and or whoever he is with. He still has his own standings, which makes you know that he isn't entirely bending his will to whatever happens, but to say, yeah, I can be that cool and be my own person. But that own person isn't good all the time. Most of the time, it's good. But then you get the other side where he tells you to gamble 20% of your life savings on a gacha game for a 5-star character. Tate is a high roller, and that influence can spread to the other homies as well. If there's a chance to win, it doesn't matter how low the odds are, because at least one of them will win in the end. According to me, I don't think that's how it works, but hey, hope can become hope. It's fun at times, but it gets very concerning to the point where most of us are actively telling him to stop spending money on whatever game he's playing. The energy he gives is invited, yes. The money he loses in the process? Not so much. This only gets worse with his bad trait being... he drinks. A lot. And I mean the alcoholic kind. Seriously, I think most of the homies have come to an agreement that it's gotten pretty bad. Not bad where he's doing illegal stuff and saying slurs, but bad as in, let's say you $300 for a gacha game pulled that night, and wake up the next morning not knowing he just told you his full address. The upside to all of that is us homies are keeping him in check to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. Don't worry, it's getting better. As long as alcohol isn't included in the mix, whatever he serves is sure to please any of those there to indulge in it, or at worst, have us understand and accept it as it is. Tate is a solid member of the Secluded dudes, and I give him my full welcome to the crew, even though the welcome is long overdue. Anyways, that's it. That's just some of the traits of the Secluded dudes members that I have picked. There are more than those specified traits that I have selected for each of us, but like I said before, this shouldn't be taken too seriously since this is just a Sterxion yapping video. I don't exactly know my friends all that well too, so don't take this that seriously, please. Unless whatever I said is pretty accurate, then let me know. Also, if any of the other Sterxion yapping ideas I showed in the beginning of the video seems cool, let me know. We need more essay-ish type videos within the Secluded dudes, and it seems like I'm the only one who will deliver it, even if it is in the poorest of quality. Anyways, thank you all for watching and listening to this video. Like, comment, subscribe, you do whatever you want, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye. I'm just using the statement of when playing. Giving everyone an inspirational speech with his inspiring. Oh my god, that's a lot of fucking words. Like, has always been something he's been doing, whether he knows. Oh my fucking god. This is usually more. Oh my god. This is my professional voice. Whatever. If we choose to ignore that trait though, finding a bad trait Orengoku. My god. One of the biggest examples I can think of is where M1 and Orengoku were playing an FPS game. Why'd I say that? Oh, fucking hell. But you also know that the exact same statement holds as much weight as Quank's in Poke. Fucking hell, this isn't even true anymore. M1 will give callouts and whatnot, but that's usually only happening when they're... Alright. Oh dear, I just cleared my throat. It's not a surprise that Lightso is actually a bit smart and knowledgeable, but... Why am I reading it so fast? What the fuck? I guarantee you, he will have at least one useful thing to know about every... Times when the opportunity arises for him to strike, the joke lands oh my fucking god. Within Lightso lies the seeds of chaos and what... Oh my... Okay, bad example, but you get my point. Within Lightso lies the seeds of chaos and is what demark... Oh my damn. For Sterxion, that 80 to 20... My fucking god, I can't read. Let's put it hypothetically, say that the average gamer's skill in the game fluctuates between 80% and... That player can change from good to bad why did I say it like that? Whatever. Another very valuable trait he has is Basically, it's hard to find something that Sterxion will actually commit. Basically, it's hard to find something that's... It's hard to find something... Basically, it's hard to find something that's... Why am I... That was pretty good and had great... Oops. How it was Why did I say it like that? Don't get me wrong, it's not in a way that he simply seeks to satisfy his own desires by doing what he wants. He simply does things to his own accord. I gotta reread that. Oh my god. Don't get me wrong, it's not in a way where he simply seeks to satisfy his own oh my god, that's a lot of... This is a really bad thing for him, considering that because of this trait, did my voice crack there? And even if he hops on the bandwagon, there's a good chance he'll hop right off soon after because that wagon isn't leading anywhere. What? That sounds so fucking weird. The way, why? Ew. And also have the reunion take place in oh my god. I kid you not. There are times whenever I message Becky and he'll always fucking hell, I suck in reading. But still though, I respect the hustle with fucking hell. He's always he always plays along with whatever's going on within the game or activity, and it's generally on the tame side, but whenever... Why did I get quiet? Oh my god. Vocal work. Quang and Becky are really good to
Man, I wish I had a way to get across the water faster with my boat.
Fucking... Can I read? You have a better chance finding him within short games and videos that are one-offs rather than something that is fucking hell. You know that riddle that goes hard to catch, easy to hold? Well, let's apply that to Becky, but instead change it to hard to catch, harder. Harder. Actually, it's usually just Becky who responds to me first before everyone else, which is very flattering, but still, I think why did I get quiet? What the fuck? It's just that he's usually occupied with some bigger solar games. Holy shit. We'll get late. We'll get to later. Fucking kill me, dude. Why can't I read? Becky is more familiar with the meme culture, while Mass Search is more familiar with the media. All the news, updates, and even niche movie moments are something that can pop up from him every now and then. And it makes you realize that he's a lot more connected to what's going on outside. Oh my fucking god, that's a lot of words. Becky is more familiar with the meme culture, while Mass Search is more familiar with the media. Media. Why did I get quiet there? all the news, updates, and even niche movie moments are something that can pop up from him every now and then, and it may... We're all just here to vibe, so it's alright to let it slip every now and then. Fucking hell, dude, I swear to God, like, my voice sounds so fucking AI generated sometimes, and I don't mean for it. Okay, now you know how I said earlier. He definitely picks when he decides to use it, and it almost always results. Oh, fucking hell. But you get this guy 10 shots of vodka. All of a sudden, the footage you were going to use in your video is hit with a cease and desist, as well as a letter issuing an apology for saying things that even a hard-stuck high elo legal. Oh my fucking god, it's a good sentence, but it's like such a long one. There are more than those specified traits that I have selected for each of us, but like I said before, this shouldn't be taken too seriously, since this is just a Sterxion yapping video. My phone alarm went off. Oh my god.